You're watching CTOM TV. Knowledge is power.
Andrea is wondering about HPV. Specifically, she's curious to know if she should get her kids the HPV vaccine and wondering a little bit about how it works. How does it help to prevent cancer?
That's an excellent question, Andrea.
It is.
A wonderful question. The human papillomavirus, HPV, as you've probably heard of it, is very common in humans. Most humans have it. I believe we're up to about 120 different strains, but don't quote me on that. I haven't kept up with how many strains. There's about 4 to 6 strains that we know definitively cause cancer. And what they do, viruses by their nature, the very nature, what they do is they introduce their DNA, their viral DNA, into our genome. And then they cause our cells to copy themselves. So we end up producing viral DNA and creating all these virus particles, and then all of a sudden the virus will burst. But one of the side effects is that that viral DNA from these 4 to 6 strains of HPV that cause cancer tends to integrate in areas of genes involved with cancers. So they cause specific key mutations. And that's just one of the main mechanisms, is they can cause mutations. So lots of cancers are caused by HPV. It's very common. Most head and neck cancers, or a large percentage of head and neck cancers, cancers all over the body. And we could effectively eradicate HPV-caused cancers if everyone got an HPV vaccine when they were young. So I recommend every man, woman, and children should get an HPV vaccine.
So just to be clear, if I'm already a grown-up and I probably already have it, how am I going to be benefited by getting this?
Well, you don't know what strains you have. There's 120 or so different strains. So
that's a valid point.
Do you have the strains now that cause cancer, or do you have the different ones? And they're all numbered.
Okay. So that's an interesting thought. So for starters, yes, of course, if you have little ones and they haven't been sexually active yet, right? Like
it's not just sexual activity.
It isn't?
No,
okay, good.
no.
Myth broken. Tell me more.
And more importantly, the vaccines are only against the strains that cause cancer. So there was a test done many, many years ago where they got this blue dye that different HPV strains reacted to. And they took a bunch of random people, babies, mothers, fathers, children, nuns, people who had never had sex before, and they injected them with this blue dye. And the people that were positive or who had HPV previously in their lives would get a reaction to this dye, and you'd see the dye. And so then when they actually looked at these people, they found that I think it was about 96% of people had previous HPV exposure, regardless of sexual activity.
Okay, so it's out there. We almost certainly have it, but
most of us have it,
there's lots of strains and not all of them cause cancer.
Exactly.
And you should still get the vaccine no matter what age you are, apparently.
Exactly.
Because you never know, and you can completely rule out any certain types of cancers.
We will eradicate many different kinds of reproductive cancers, ovarian. There's so many different kinds of cancers that we could literally get rid of completely if everyone got an HPV vaccine.
Oh, that's exciting. So Andrea, yes, is the answer.
Good idea.
Get those kids that vaccine, and yourself as well, apparently.
I have.
Thank you for watching CTOM TV. Subscribe below and stay informed.